and then sort of became more centralized and less tolerant of dissent. I was reading through Indian history, and I have some knowledge of Chinese history, that the Yadavas, the Krishna, the god Krishna, they always resent. They never had a king. They actually just had a chieftain who headed the other chieftain. So a democracy of sorts. And I saw that something similar existed before the first emperor in China. They also had a democracy of sorts, and then it got centralized, and now it's sort of centralized here. And we seem to be culturally attuned to centralization, while you will not find that in my experience of Europe and Oceania. No, even amongst the Maori kings, there was no real king. He was just a sort of nominal king. The Maori iwi chiefs are still quite strong. Their word which holds sway. So it's just sorry, I suddenly took off on a tangent.
No, we do that here, though. That's what makes this show great, right? We want to restrict that. It's the truth.
I want to hear Dr. Saggu, because he's given us so many interesting insights. I don't want to block him up by nattering on now.
Well, we'll pick back up, because Rakesh, I love it when you get on your tangents, because I learned so much from your worldly travels and the things that you have experienced. But good evening, Dr. Saggu.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Namaste. How is life in your world?
Yeah, everything is good, and I think a lot of favorable trends are coming as far as the India is concerned regarding the COVID-19. A lot of good things are happening. Still in the isolation, doubling rate is going up now. It is around, you can say, 11 days nationally, and you can say 14 to 15 days for New Delhi. So if I say the performance of New Delhi, it is being performed well now. Even the positivity rate is also on the lower side. Death rates are, this is very important in COVID-19. If you can control the death rates. So if your death is on the lower side, then the panic is also on the lower side. You can make your population, your people understand that this disease is not a drastic disease. The infection will come and go its own if you have a good immunity. So if you can control your deaths, I think you can decrease the panic created in the public, and then you can control this infection very well. Because of the lockdown, we had enough time. We had around 1.5 months, and that was a very crucial time. And during that time, if we say the Indian government or Delhi government, they used it very well by upgradation of their medical resources. If we talk about the number of the bed, number of the ventilators, number of the test kits, number of the COVID centers, right? So everything has been in place now. Now we can have a fight with Corona if the COVID is coming, if the more number of the positive patients they are coming. So by isolation, yes, you have. So if I talk about the infection, which we have when we have an infection, so maybe medical people, they can understand. So initially this infection is in whole of the body. It's a generalized infection. So by isolation, now it has become localized. So once you had a fever, now you may have a boil on one part of your body. And when your infection is localized to one part of your area, then I think you are in good condition to control that. So now already there is a cluster containment, and now you can control the cluster containment. No matter if you are going to lift your lockdown or you are going to lift your isolation, even then you have identified those clusters, those containment area, and now you can work nicely, or you can have a good measures to control that disease.
But sir, we have seen that since the lockdown is opening up in different states and cities across India, numbers are slightly on the higher side. It might be doubling it, but still we are reporting unknown numbers basically. What happened in Delhi and in other parts of the world.
We are not able to detect those asymptomatic patients because we are not testing on a mass level. So numbers is not a worry. I mean, numbers would not be a criteria to lift the lockdown. The criteria to lift the lockdown should be how you have contained the clusters, how you have identified your patients. So this is this is IITT method. So you have to identify it, right? You have to test properly, and then you have to treat them. So identify, isolate them, then test them, and then treat them. So IITT would be the criteria. So now I think identification and isolation is already being done. Now the second part is TT, that is the testing and the treatment. So whosoever is a positive for this COVID-19, you have to treat them. You have to prevent the death. That is most important.
But sir,
I love that policy: identify, isolate, test.
So in mathematics we can say it is a I square T square. I square
That's
T
what
square
I was
policy.
doing in my brain. I'm a math person, and immediately I did I square T. That's how I shorthand I square T square. Love it. Let's get that. Let's get that policy going. It's energetic. One of the ways we can rid ourselves of any of the depression that's going on out there is when you start finding even a solution to move forward. You might have to pivot, but once you have direction, my doctors used to tell me, once you have directions and you're taking action, some kind of action, your depression goes away. So, and so awesome. This is great. So how many test kits do you perceive having to use in a solution like this?
I mean, I cannot say it's enough, but I think for us it is maybe more than that we expected. So the test kits are there, but because of some faulty kits from China, that has spoiled the game already. They have spoiled the game, and I would say that faulty kits they encouraged us to make the kits in our own country. So
there you go. It did something positive. That was positive.
Yeah, that is a positive so everything is going to be positive. So if something happens it's not happening for the bad, everything is happening for the good. That is the mythology we Indian culture have.
You created jobs, you got control, you have more reliability, reliability and accountability. Now it's your test kits. So and they're there. Now, you don't have to wait for them to be delivered. They're right there. So awesome.
Now we are totally independent. We are not dependent. Even we are lifting our economy also by manufacturing in our country.
That's right.
We are giving some employment also. So solution to so many things while we are manufacturing the kits in our country.
So many people started doing that, and in Africa, everyone has to be tested weekally. They all go into clinics right now. Everyone, you see them, they got photos of them going in and out like just an assembly line basically. And they all are getting tested because they started making their own test kits in Africa. And they're not 100% accurate. They know this, but they said, even if it was 75% accurate, they're able to centralize and contain like you're talking about. Isolate.
Yeah. So right now, the procedure is slightly lengthier for non-COVID patients because we have posted some patients for the surgery. So today also, I requested for 3 patients to be tested for pre-operative screening because we are getting this test for each and every patient whom we are going to operate. So it's a slightly lengthy government. There are a lot of formalities which we have to do as a healthcare workers, as a doctors. We need to fill a lot of forms, sign a lot of forms, and we need to take a permission from the ICMR for the testing done for our operative patients. So now I know it's a lengthy procedure, but we need to do all these things. These are very important. These are the things which will make our future brighter.
Safer. So there's a thing called quality of life, right? But in the factors of quality of life are safer and efficient. right? Safety and efficiency, and that's what you've implemented it. This forced India to do what? To implement these things. So when the bigger virus comes, the next virus, we all know the next virus is coming. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
But you're
So
prepared.
we should be.
You're prepared. Way to go.
So what I would like to mention one comment that today I was watching a show, and one of our politicians, one of our chief minister of some of our province, he admitted that what we were lacking, what we have not done in last 70 years after the freedom, we had not invested in our healthcare. And
We
he
talked
he
about
he
that
said, and
yesterday. We talked about
yeah,
that yesterday.
so he himself stated that I would say that Corona has given us one positive thing, and that positive thing that we started investing in the healthcare system, we started investing for our nurses, we started investing for medical equipment, we started investing on the doctors, and we started trusting doctors. It's very important. So now I think they are going to give some value to we people also.
Right.
And,
So,
that also adds the medical budget basically. So they might be coming up with annual medical budget so that doctors and medical staff will get all the required things, including the insurance and all kinds of utensils and stuff they require to operate and to treat the patient. Because as of now, things are not in the mood. But as Dr. Saggu said, we are doing very good in India, but still we have a long way to go. And we have to keep doing the same thing again and again so that we will stay away from that virus.
No,
just healthy. I'm happy to hear that. I am so happy because we just talked about that, Dr. Saggu. We just talked about that yesterday. That for all these years they've never invested or into medical in this kind of stuff. So yay! Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we should reach up to that stage that we should not be scared of the corona. We should not be scared of the COVID-19. So at least we should be telling the people that this is a normal infection. This will come and this will go. Yeah. It's a mild infection.
Eventually we can, but right now the mortality rate is still extremely high. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but David shared it with us that there are 20 people a day that they're finding dead on the streets or in their apartments in New York. They are literally bagging, and tagging and bagging 20 people a day, but they can't even test them because they're not going to waste the test kits on dead people. But they can't report them as COVID deaths because they haven't been tested for COVID. So they're pretty much going as death unknown or cause of death unknown. But, and I'm saying at least 20 a day. I think the rate's higher because of a report that just came in on my desk the other day that I'm investigating, where they've got so many bodies that they are stacked in vans. They rented vans, they're stacking them in vans. So
here I would like to mention here the higher death rate. It is not because of severity of the virus. It is not because of the severity of the virus.
Yes.
There are two major reasons for that. Number one, deficiency of your resources. The person, the patient who needs an intensive care unit, because of the high number of the severe patients, we don't have enough medical healthcare worker for them. So if we would have those numbers with us, according to the numbers of our patients, I don't think death rate would be high. And number two is our own lifestyle. Yeah. Our lifestyle is like that we have made our immunity very low. We were not working on our healthcare or on our physical health. So because of your defense system is on the lower side, so that is why your enemy is becoming, powerful than yourself. So you are making your enemy more powerful because of your own, lifestyle.
Well, this is why you're so important, because so many people, especially in the U.S., I don't know about your country, but so many people become obese. And when you become obese, your body is no longer have the immunities in it that it needs to fight off everything.
So obesity
becomes very important to us.
So obesity is becoming.
Yes. So obesity is becoming the biggest factor now, as far as we're concerned about the death rates or the severe response of the COVID-19. As I think I mentioned the CDC report also, that they reviewed that 60% of less than 50-year people, they're obese, and 50 to 65, around 51% they're obese, and more than 65 years of COVID patients admitted in the hospitals, 41% they're obese and 70% they're hypertensive. So it means the obesity and the metabolic syndrome, these two things, they are coming in mind when we talk about the severity of the disease. So if we can control our obesity, if we can control the metabolic syndrome, I don't think the corona would be that big that he can attack on us. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Today on our talk show with Dr. Saggu, we will discuss about metabolic syndrome, and so that's so we do it on Saturdays.
Yes, and some of the things we need to talk about is how people can control their lifestyles in a positive way, right? Because nobody likes to go on a diet. Nobody likes, but there are positive ways we can do this. But Dr. Saggu, you're right. We need to get a control over it. We've gotten out of control. One of the things, I think it was Dr. Art said, we need to unplug from our TV set so we're not being programmed to buy all that junk food, the commercials every day. I'll share you with the latest commercials that I've been watching lately. But you're right. We need to gain control, rebuild our immunity. And I agree with you. That's probably why my doctor one time told me I was really scared of one of the flus we had. It was killing a lot of people. And it was a long time ago. But I remember him telling me, Kim, it's not the flu itself killing the people. The people are dehydrating and they're dying from dehydration. So that told me it was about what you put into your body, right? And he was always a strong pusher for eating right and building your immunity, just like you talk. So I always follow his instructions. Oh, not as good as he wants, but I like my dark chocolate. So, but I drink a lot of lemon water, no sugar, a lot of lemon water for vitamin C. Sit outside every day. It's sunny. Those are good things, right?
Yeah.
So what else do you recommend for us?
Yeah, I think the good lifestyle is very important. And that includes your dietary habits also. That includes your physical activity also. And that includes your management of stress also. And that includes your effective and good sleep also. So, I mean, all four things, they comes in your lifestyle changes. So if I talk about the diet, yes, you should have a good diet. Your carb has to be very low. Complex carb has to be very low. Your protein has to be on the higher side. And if we talk about the fats, we should not cut out your all fats. We should have a polyunsaturated fat. Please don't take saturated fats, right? And every fat gives around 9 grams of the calorie from 9 calories from 1 gram. So even the polyunsaturated and saturated, both of them, they give the same energy. But polyunsaturated, they are good for the cell membrane of your cells, from where the glucose comes into the cells, and they make more effective your insulin, which is created by your pancreas. So you are less prone to have a insulin resistance if you take more polyunsaturated fat. That is, you can say it's a sunflower, safflower seeds, you can say fishes, all these things, they come under unsaturated fat. But your saturated fat, you take pork, you take beef, you take lamb, all these things are not good. They contain saturated fat. Don't take much of coconut oil because it is also having a saturated fat. So if you take polyunsaturated fat, and the amount is around 10% of your calorie should have a fats. If you need to consume 2000 calories a day, around 200 calories of fat is must for your diet, and around 50 to 60% protein and 20% carbohydrate. That should be the combination of your diet. You have to take lot of veggies, lot of fiber diet. That is very important. Take lot of fruits. You have to build up your fibers more in the diet so that it will be positive effect on your digestive tract and it will uplift your immunity.
Okay.
Then, as last but not the least, you should take a lot of liquids because you know the water intake is the better vehicle to wash out your toxins. So whatever the toxins you created from your diet, if you are taking more saturated fat, so even then the toxins released by that you can wash by your water. So always take good quantity of the water. That is very important. So this is your diet. Now the physical activity. Please avoid your sedentary lifestyle. Do some physical activities. Do some work by yourself. Don't be dependent on the others. Please park your car away from your office. Your parking should not be just nearby your office. You have to walk daily. You have to walk daily. Do morning exercise. That is very important. You can do aerobic also. You can do low intensity exercises also, and maybe 3 or 4 days a week you can have a strength building exercise also. So you can do all type of exercises. Please do some stress busting activities. Concentrate on your mind. Please don't let your mind go everywhere. If you can manage your stress, you can manage your lifestyle, you can manage your metabolic syndrome, and then you can have check of a check on your all the diseases. You need not to go to the multiple doctors. Today I'm going to a diabetologist, tomorrow I'm going to endocrinologist, again I'm going to chest physician, then I'm going to a skin dermatologist. So I mean, no need to go anywhere. You can prevent yourself. Please take care of your own body. Then sleep. The sleep is very important. You should not be awakening late nights. By that, you are going to increase the leptin level of your body, and the leptin is not a good hormone. You are going to increase your steroids also. They are not a good hormones. They give you a lot of things. In time sleep and in time awakening is very important. So you have to be very much disciplined for that. That the timing for your sleeping, timing for your awakening, timing for your taking meals, liquid, physical activity has to be very good. So I would say you should be dividing your day in this isolation into 5 parts. One part you can do your job. Second part you can do your physical activities. Third part you should reserve for your family members, play with your children, play with your parents, have a talk with them. Then one part you should have at least for your stress management. And the fifth part is you start calling your friends, your remote friends, you're talking to your remote relatives so that they should also be feeling very important. So this type of the lifestyle divided into the 5 parts should be there when we are in the lockdown.
You mentioned something very, very important too, because we're not getting enough exercise. I hear a lot of complaints from people that they're not able to sleep well, and if you're not sleeping well, odds are you're probably not de-stressing through exercise, because we are creatures by nature to get a lot of exercise, and I just don't think people. So my thing is because I'm not getting outside every day. I force myself, I think you mentioned it or somebody else, run in place for 10 minutes, just, or move your arms up and down and stretch for 10 minutes. But people are complaining, I'm not getting enough sleep. So when you hit that mode, then you're really causing problems in your immune system, because rest is important.
Yeah, rest is very important. And the point I missed is, please take a break from the COVID news.
Oh yeah.
You should not be involving with the COVID news all of the day.
I agree, because it was depressing me so bad 2 weeks ago. Poor Ankit, because I was like almost crying on him. Ankit, I was so depressed and I was on meltdown. And I realized, and we were having that talk, maybe we just need to decompress from COVID. And that's when we started changing the shows and making them more positive, because it's, there's a lot out there and there's a lot of missed news. You just don't look at all of it right now. I agree. And one of the things you said, the parking place, as president of the company, you get the reserved parking place at the door. maybe as the president of the company, you need to reserve your parking place way back so that you get that walk in every day. Because as presidents of the company, we usually don't get the time to exercise. Not all of them. Now, I've interviewed a few that they make from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. like I used to do. That was their workout time. No ifs, ands, or buts. That was quiet. But I like your idea of the parking place. We were talking about that a couple of days ago about the parking places, and the doctors were giving up their parking spaces for drive-through COVID testing. So they would come out the door and test the people in their car. And I thought, wow, you gave up your parking place? And they go, yeah. But maybe it's healthier for them. Maybe they're walking to it from their parking place.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for this quarantine time. Maybe when this lockdown will be over, then we can go for the walk, and then I think we should park our vehicle away from the offices. And as Ankit mentioned,
what is your opinion of re-entry? Should we go to masks? Should we consider mask wearing when we go to re-entry?
No, I mean the guidelines for the social distancing, and this would be there at least for 1 or 2 years. So I'm talking here that immunity can only be developed when a lot of people would be positive for the COVID-19. So I mean, this time would be coming when a lot of people would be positive for that, but it would be a mild infection. But you have to follow all the guidelines of social distancing, hand washing, good hygiene, everything. I think this is a good habit. I think we should be following this whole life, and this is good. And I would say that the corona has given us a lot of good things, good hygiene, social distancing. It should be there.
I agree, and I think these are just practices that become our lifestyle. This isn't. In America, it's going to be hard because we have this stupid thing called freedom, that everybody exercises that word for the wrong time, right? Well, it's against my freedom. Well, it's against my freedom when you contaminate me. But people would come to work sick before COVID. People were coming to work sick, and I'm like, why weren't we taking their measurements of their fever before COVID? Because they would come in and infect the whole office, and then I would stay home because I'm not going to go to work sick. And so I think this is good that we've got practice now where we measure people for fever before they come to work. I've always.
I also think that as Dr. Saggu said, the guidelines we have to follow for next couple of years. In that, we should include the mask ATM and also sanitizer ATM in the world, so that anyone can go to those ATMs and buy these masks or sanitize, or maybe utilize the sanitizer at point of time. So if you are traveling to public transport, or if you are going to an office, before the office there is a sanitizer room where you can sanitize yourself, and then you can enter in the office. And vice versa, when you talk about parking, walking through the parking lot. If someone can't do that, then I think a lot of people use lifts to reach out to the upper floors. So if we start using these stairs, I think this is the best exercise they can do if they can't do anything else. So there's small changes. If we can follow it up, that will help you in maintaining your metabolic syndrome. That will help you in maintaining your immunity. That will help you in keeping your socializing away from everyone else. You will be fit, more fit, and you will be working, and you maintain the peace and harmony around the world.
I got a question. Okay, in building up communities, a lot of people lack in this area. They're just not going to eat healthy because it's not cost effective. Seriously, it's cheaper to go buy a box of potato chips and feed your kids that, and they're going to get full and they're going to be happy, than it is a bag of oranges or a bag of apples. So in the realm of building up the immunity systems, rather than vaccine shots, which I'm totally against a lot of vaccines because of the gunk that goes into them, can we build an immunity shot of some kind, or an immunity pill that people take that's based and catered and customized for them? Say I'm low on irons and C, maybe or D. Is there something, I know I can go take those vitamins, but maybe there's an app we could start developing and a test we can do, and we can start engineering the practice without having to have vaccines, that becomes our vaccine. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we do? Is that something that the medical industry would be interested in?
So
Yes,
I think
yes.
there are a lot of immunity boosters available, but it's just that how natural immunity you can build up, because and post-COVID you'll find a lot of new companies coming up with immunity boosters. But I mean, Dr. Saggu would be able to share more insights. But I think natural immunities are much more better than what we consume through different things. What do you think, Dr. Saggu?
So, Kim, these are two different stories. If we talk about the vaccine, and if we talk about the natural immunity, I think the both they are the different both of things, they are the different things, and both are necessary, both are required for us. If we talk about the vaccine is actually it's an active artificial immunity. Like we are putting a virus inside, and we are going to develop the antibodies against that virus or against the part of that virus, right? So that would be a specific weapon for particularly that virus. But if we have a natural immunity, that is an active immunity, yes, but that is non-specific. That would not be a specific for the COVID-19. If you have read about that, why Indians have mild infection because of the COVID, it may be because of the BCG vaccine. So we all are vaccinated by the BCG against the tuberculosis. So that vaccine was specific for the tuberculosis, but that is becoming specific for the COVID-19 as well. So that is why the severity of the COVID-19 is not much in this tropical area where the BCG has already given, or BCG has a part of the national immunization program. So, but natural immunity is non-specific. That vaccine is a specific immunity against that virus. That is also very important. And by the plasma which we are giving, that is a passive immunity. So your defense system, your immune system has not played any role by developing those antibodies which has been given into your body and made by some other person, and ready-made antibodies has been given to your body. So that is a passive immunity. So even the active, there are two parts of the active. That is, one active is a natural, one is artificial. The passive is same. The passive natural and passive artificial. So passive natural is when the antibodies are coming into the baby during the pregnancy time from the mother through the placenta. So some antibodies are being secreted through the placenta into the baby's body. Those antibodies are also very important. Those are, you can say, natural passive immunity, right? So when we give antibodies, a lot of antibodies were there in the colostrum also, the first milk of the mother. So that is also very important. That is also a natural passive immunity. So those are also important. But when you have a acute infection by the virus and we are giving the plasma, so we are giving the specific antibodies for that virus. But those antibodies, they are ready-made antibodies. So that is why there's a passive artificial immunity.
Wow.
Dr. Saggu, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
While we are developing our defenses, naturally, if you treat the virus as an organism, it is also developing its survivability. It's evolving. And when you look at that point of view, how effective can because natural immunity is dependent.
Can you please stop, because I think it's not working.
Am I too loud?
Yeah.
I think there's some technical difficulties.
Okay. I've got nothing else open here. It's just my.
No. It's from the Dr. Saggu side, so he might be having some technical difficulties. Yeah. Maybe that.
I was curious because some of the viruses have viruses we've never experienced before. You know, they're new viruses, they're chimeras, and this one is one. So, how does our body, react to a new threat? It'll probably take some time to evolve, and we will have some mortality as a result of that, which is, I think, what's happening currently if we look at it. So that's what as a strategy is what, whether we will need to use some artificial methods for just to limit the mortality, and then afterwards let our own body take over, my guess. And that was just my question for Dr. Saggu, but
He'll be back. I don't.
No, I think but according to the reports
That's a
around
good
the world,
question.
people are trying different ways to treat people, and because it's not about COVID only. So suppose someone is having hypertension with COVID, someone is having cardiac problem with COVID, someone is a dialysis, and then they have a COVID thing. So they have to treat them differently with different treatments. And I think people who have good immunity, they are able to come back. That's what's happening. I think Dr. Saggu is back.
Yes, Rakesh. Sorry. So
yeah,
I can take your question now, please.
yeah, my question was just this, that just as we are developing our natural immunity and also taking the aid of artificial help, like the passive, the blood plasma infusions, and developing molecules to fight the virus. The virus is also evolving, because it's not a static sort of organism, and eventually, every so many years, we are going to have different viruses, chimeras coming out of existing viruses where we've already developed immunity. So, as a species, if we look at ourselves as competing for existence on this earth with viruses, will natural immunity be enough?
Yeah. So, it's a good question, Rakesh. Actually, we have seen that virus is evolving. We have seen the SARS-CoV-1 in 2003, and this is the same species. I mean, this is the seventh virus of the same family which we have already been infected of. So
Yeah.
this is SARS-CoV-2. So we can say there is a mutation in one part of the RNA. There is a genetic mutation in that virus, and now it has become SARS-CoV-2. So that is why we were telling that the plasma therapy which we are doing now, that would not be enough for another species of the same virus, maybe the second family which we have seen in China. So the immunity which we have developed against the COVID-19, that may not work against the another strain, that may be the COVID-20. So this is true. So that is why we are talking about the natural immunity is very important. So natural immunity is importance only. The importance of natural immunity is that the severity of the disease comes down. So you can see now, because 80% patients of COVID-19, they have a mild infection or they have asymptomatic behavior. So that is because of the natural immunity. So maybe if we have a more natural immunity, maybe the next, when the COVID-20 would come, that we may have a 90% people having a mild symptoms or the asymptomatic. So it is very important to have a natural immunity. But when there is an acute infection, when your 10% of people, they are having a severe problem. So against that virus, we should develop some temporary immunity also, so that we can fight with that particular strain. But yes, natural immunity would be there. That will not suffice for 100% people. That may be sufficient for 80 to 90% of the people. And the rest of the people, we can have a specific vaccine. We can have specific passive immunity.
Yes. That's true. That's true. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dr. Saggu, are you available? What happened?
I don't know.
I tell you what, his sound and video is very good today. So maybe things are picking up, and mine's not. Mine keeps jumping in and out.
I'm having an internet difficulty today, so internet is not consistently, and it's going down, up and down.
Okay.
Well, my computer keeps overheating, so which is it's a new computer. It's not that old, but anyway. So Yeah, it's interesting. So that was a good question, and some of the things that I'm thinking about here is we're going to be balancing vaccine versus immunity, and I think immunity is going to trump vaccine if we are smart people. So I think we need to stop looking at instant gratification, which actually there's a really good book up here about it. That our society has become so instant gratification, we're overlooking our health, we're overlooking our mental state, and we're expecting things to just fix everything for us. And I think that's what happened with this pandemic. We just thought anything that ever hit us, we could just fix, right? And we could fix it with a pill, here, take an aspirin. And that's not the case, and just like we've been able to fix a lot of heart attacks, we've been able to save a lot of people because of heart attacks. But think about it this way: we have a high heart attack rate in our country, high heart disease. And a lot of the diseases are caused from, I'm just going to be honest, I'm probably going to get shot down for this, but a lot of the diseases, especially in the heart and things like that, are caused from the drugs we take. They're caused from the pharmaceutical medications we take. And I am a huge example of it. When my body went ischemic, prior to that, I was having heart attacks, heart seizures all the time for 2 or 3 years. They could not figure out why I was having heart seizures. I don't know how many doctors, the world's best heart surgeon, literally the number one heart surgeon in the world. And he was actually head of the Heart Association, and he couldn't figure it out. They sent me to him going, we've never seen this before. And I kid you not, after the fatal incident, and I got home, I did this to all my drugs. I just shoved them in the can and said, we're going to start over and do something different. Where's wood? I'm going to knock on wood. I've yet to have a heart seizure. Since 2010, I've not had another heart seizure.
Between 1984 to 1987, I used to market bulk drugs to pharmaceutical companies. So I had to read the British pharmacopoeia, the American pharmacopoeia, and understand what are the pros and cons of every molecule that I used to market. And believe me, if you really read those pharmacopoeias, you wouldn't want to take any drugs. There's so many side effects, it's crazy.
Yeah. The last gig I had, so it's a food and flavor joint. So you look at some of the ingredients that we ship to ice cream factories, and I said, okay, that's flammable, like blue bubble gum flavor. And you look at the ingredients, and he said, no, don't take it.
It is just. I really think lower consumption per capita is the key mantra to everything. If we really need to, I noticed that you are involved in some martial arts, Willie.
Yeah.
Kendo, I think. I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes.
Is it Kendo?
Yes. No, but that's more the Aikido version.
Aikido.
But I studied Kendo. I also studied Kendo. It was originally karate, and then I morphed because karate now is a sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more for the traditional, like the do, the discipline of the martial arts, and that's what I'm trying to follow or trying to adhere to.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Do you have an interest in martial arts? Have you?
I unfortunately am not very good at my hand-eye coordination. But
what did you do? What were you interested in?
I was interested. I did try in school. I tried to learn judo, but then suddenly the class got cancelled. And then when I went to New Zealand, I tried to learn a Japanese one. I think it was Aikido. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started getting some medical problems. So then I've already become quite old. So
Okay.
I get the medical problem to stop that class. But I love martial arts really.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I saw it on your profile on
Yeah.
Facebook, I was quite intrigued. I envy those who are good at that. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Saggu. You did answer my question. I'm so grateful for your answer.
You're welcome.
Are
Rakesh.
we facing the internet issues today?
No, Ankit, actually, I don't think we would be covering our metabolic syndrome today because I got a call from my ER. One of my patients, he needs my services over there. One of my patient is sick, so I need to go to see my patient now. So I'm sorry that we. So maybe the next next Saturday we can do the metabolic syndrome. Thank you so much.
But thank you for
Namaste,
coming,
Sat Shri Akal.
and many blessings.
Yeah.
Care.
Okay, Billy, Rakesh,
Okay.
Kim, and Ankit. See you.
Take care.